Good morning. We are in Hilchis Trumas. I would like to learn the Rambam Perokim Halacha Aleph and Halacha Gimel. Very interesting halacha, which has many ramifications in other places. And what we're going to deal with is the relationship between this halacha and what is brought down in other places. Somebody says that's a kohen who's married to a woman, and therefore the woman eats truma because she's married to a kohen. If he gives her a divorce, but he doesn't tell her that she's divorced right now, the get will become valid and effective an hour before he dies. Asura lechol b'truma miyad. She cannot eat any more truma. Now, what's the story here? Why does he want to give her a divorce? Because he wants to prevent her from halachas that could happen after he dies and she's not divorced. Namely, let's talk about Yibum. That would be he would prevent her from having to go through the process of Yibum, Chalitza, if she doesn't have children and he doesn't have children, and he has a brother, and there are other issues, but that's why he does it. So he wants to help her, but he doesn't want to divorce her. He loves her. He's happy to live with her, but he wants to give her a get, because he cares about her. He wants to give her a get a moment before he dies. So he helped her, but he also messed her up in a certain way because you can't eat truma now. Because, as we'll see, every moment could be the moment before he dies. One halach. So one thing is clear, that we are concerned that a person may die any moment. Right? Halacha Gimel, he writes, if she was with her husband and she needed to travel, and she left her husband when he was in a state of a geisus. A geisus is a person who's imminently going to die. Bein sheisa kehenes eishes Yisrael, Yisrael eishes kayin, lei teichal. Can't eat truma. Finished, gone. Why? Because we can assume that he's going to die. Okay. That's in Hilchas Trumas. Now let's see where this halacha also has effects in other places. In Hilchas Gershon, the Rambam writes, Perokim halacha chavches, Chein hamevi get v'niach habal chayla. Person brings a get, and the husband was sick when he left him. Or shahayu zoke, or he was old. Now we're going to talk about how old is old. He was sick, he was old, traveled a while, gives it to her. We assume he's alive. Geisus, we assume. Why is it suffix gersh? Rambam writes at Lashon she'en get lachamisa. There's no divorce after dying. Okay, now this is a Gemara. And the Sech is Gittin. And that is, the Gemara says, I maybe get the hinichai zake, and he left him old, chayla, noisan labecheske shukai. Bas Yisrael hanesua lekayin, v'holach baila lamdinas yal. Kelim trouble, cheske shukai. We assume he's alive. Comes along the Gemara. Amarav Shanu. This halacha isn't Ella Zaken Shleigil Gurais. He didn't turn 80. The chayla and a regular chayla, chayla l'chaim, most sick people live. Aval zokein, she'giya leguras. Person will hit 80. Gaisis, Shreib Gais Lamisa, Allah is different. Then we're concerned. So the Gemara says, it says over here, it says there's a Bryce that says, I maybe get in Ichazakan Avilu Ben Meir Shana. Even if he's 100 years old. So you're telling me 80, I'm showing you 100. So my guys do two things. So says one answer, you're right. You refuted Rava's statement. Tiyufta. Then the Gemara says, Levi saying an interesting concept. Even the if once you pass 80 to 90 years old, that range, or 80 to 100, once you hit 100, you're out of the norm. Rashi, since you went down there, Koloret, Sheherich Yom Ad Meir Shana, if Ve'enik Yashar Adam Li Yiskarav Lamas. In other words, you've gone past what's norm, and therefore we have no criteria. I remember once somebody got sick with a certain sickness most people get very scared of, and rightfully so. And when he got sick, a family member came to tell me that this, even though this is a family of disease that has been tested, and they know and in general he has a very good recovery, but they found that this is a new strand, and therefore there is no data on it. They're very worried. I said the fact there's no data is not something to worry. It could be is a good thing. So therefore, it'll be okay. And the point is, there's no data on this. This is out of the range of norm, and there's no data. But 80 to 90, those people are not, they can't be counted on. Okay. Obviously, I don't know if we can say times change and there are differences in longevity and so forth, but I don't think that's the idea. But it could be. Anyway. The Rashba doesn't mean that doesn't slam down like Rashi, and he brings a raya from Yishalmi. Yishalmi says, "Afilu hinichad," meaning that he's even better. Kol shekain, not. B'mei it would be a reason to say that he's no good, and if B'mei is good, the rest are good, and therefore we don't follow that. Okay. Then the Gemara goes on and asks the question. On a normal person, we're concerned that he's going to die. Oh, here comes a famous statement. Amarava Shema Mace Leichashin. Shema Yamus Chashin. If you're talking about maybe he will die, we're always worried. Did he die? We don't concern ourselves with it. Rashi says, because when you talk about the past, we assume that he has chazaka. Will he die in the future? Yeah. Because everybody's going to die at some point. Rashi uses the lashon. It's not destroying the cheskes chai before. It's the future. There's no cheskes chai on the future, which is a problem. Why? And there the Mefarshim has. Yishalmi use a different lashon. Ask the same question. He says tamon when you say shah achas kaidem isasi mishari shainan is kalkula. What does that mean? I know. I mean, they want to say that's what it means. So the Karmaeda says that it means as follows. So in other words, there's never a moment where we can assume he's going to be alive. So since it's what does that mean? Why? If it's not Bavli, what is he saying? But so therefore we keep it. It's hard to understand what he's saying. We'll see. Okay, now there's another place where this discussion takes place. Coming to Yom Kippurim, in Hilchos Avodas Yom Kippurim, it says, Perik Aleph Halacha Gimel, 7 days before the Rambam Paskin, 7 days before Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol is removed from his home, brought to the Beis Hamikdash, and you always prepare another Kohen. Why? Because we're afraid that he might become puzzled, tumah, whatever. And that's the halacha. Now, in the Mishnah, where this halacha comes from, there's also a discussion that we should prepare him for a second wife. He must have a wife in order to be a Kohen Gadol, contrary to others. By us having a wife is part of being a normal person. The Kohen Gadol must have a wife. It's very important. Healthy human being, married, and therefore, he says, Af Isha Acheres Maskina Light, Rabbi Yehuda holds. And the Gemara responds, no, ain't no double say. If you're gonna worry about why, because she might die. I said, if you're gonna worry about death, you're gonna have 10 women. It's endless. How many women can die? But there is a Gemara, there is a place where we say, the Misa the Chad Chashin and the Misa Chelech Chashin, we're only chayish for one person to die, not for a bunch of people to die. But that's what the Gemara said. So the Chacham Tzvi in his Shuvas asks on the Rambam, why doesn't the Rambam concern himself with that maybe she's going to die? When it comes to Truma, he says, we're worried. Right? Shemayamos. And in Hilchos Yom Kippurim, for some reason, we're not worried. And he says it should be even more so. Yom Kippur, the Gemara says, my loss of the Kippur, it's such a special time, and the Chas v'Shalom, and gets messed up. So he says he doesn't understand the Rambam. That's a strong question. If you're Chaysh Shemayamos, why here you there now? Very interesting halach. Chumas Hadeshin writes, we have to do Kiddush Levana every month. Kiddush Levana is preferable Matzah Shabbos. What happens if there's a Shaila halacha in our minig is to wait 7 days. So what happens if the 7th and 8th day in the month comes out on Sunday? Monday. I gotta wait till Matzah Shabbos for Matzah Shabbos. But that's cutting it close to the end of Kiddush Levana. He says if there's still 2 or 3 nights afterwards, it's okay. Because it's better to do Matzah Shabbos. So the Chacham Tzvi brings this and says, you see from here that you're not concerned that he might die. Why would we tell him to wait? And it's almost a whole week that you're waiting. Right? So we need to understand, what does it mean we're not concerned for a small amount of time versus going to die? That's what is that amount that we're referring to? Okay. All right, there's we're not going to get, there's other halachas here that we should analyze, but the Rambam doesn't bring any of this, right? In Mishnayos Yuma, in the period of Mishnayos, the Rambam writes, which is a Gemara in Yuma Daf Yud Gimel. So he writes, because if you're going to concern yourself with Misa, it's endless. And then he writes a line. Inyan Amram Misa Leshchicha. Shemisa Pisoimis Eina Ella Beakroi. Not enough the fact that it's impossible to be chayshish because you're never going to end. He's saying much stronger. Now, it's not something that happens. Not something that real concern. It's not a cry. It's a rare event. Somebody boom suddenly dies. So therefore you don't have to worry about it. And that's the Gemara Lashon, but the Akaponim. So there's a Gemara in Yevamis where there's also discussion about Misa for a Yav by a Yavan, and that we wait for a while on doing the Yibum. And the Gemara over there says also the Misa Chadle Chashinon. I mean, Taisa says that. The Aval Hossam, there's Man Meruba. So maybe Dinyan is Man Meruba, is Man Muad. You got to understand what that means. Tzemach Tzedek and Ebenezer Chuvas and Shem Zion is Meir that the Cheskes Chaim is a troubled chazaka because it's a chazaka that's prone to change. And he quotes a Pnei Yeshua Gittin, who says that it's not a strong chazaka because people do die. It's a norm. The norm is that people come to a point where they die. Even the Gabe Reiv Doises and Misa, the Achreinim say that it's not a regular Reiv. This is not a Reiv Kishar Reiv Rubeg, some say for rights. He just says it's enough that there's no chazaka. It's not really a Reiv. It's not you don't have the statistics of Reiv. It's enough. Yeah, you don't have that cheskes chaim. Yeah, why don't you give? Why don't you use the Reiv in different ways? There are issues regarding this. All right, so we have a major problem when it comes to Hilchis. When it comes to Hilchis, Yom Kippur, we say we're not chayish. Misa Pesaimis Leichashim is Ekroi. When it comes to Truma, Misa Pesaimis suddenly becomes a reality. What's chance? I don't know. But perhaps. It's not the word. There's nothing to worry about. The word is why worry? Why concern ourselves about something that's akroi? Why think about it? We don't think about things that don't happen normally. So Kayin Gadol is going to serve in Beis Hamikdash. We're going to start worrying about maybe his wife is going to die. It's not, we don't worry about things that don't exist. We don't think about things that are not norm. The norm is what we think about. The akroi we don't think about. However, but it's a davar chashuv. On we're dealing with the kapara of all Klal Yisrael. So therefore, he says you can't think about it because it's impossible. You're gonna get into it. In other words, if you're gonna get into it, into the absurd, we can go to any level of absurdity. Therefore, It's not the issue chazaka ha'osui l'shtana is what they, the point that the Yeshua makes. That's not the issue here. Yeah, we're not dealing with that type. We're dealing with, it's just not normal. We don't worry about this. And that's why we can wait Motzei Shabbos. We don't have to worry about the fact that people are dying. We don't think about it. That's not the way we live. We don't live by worrying about that. It doesn't enter in the discussion. Unless you brought it into the discussion. And that is when a husband gives his wife a get and says, that means that she is working with a bomb in her hand every moment that he may die. So now we have no choice. We have to think about it. And therefore, L'Shem Yom is Chashin. No, it doesn't enter the discussion. We don't think about death. That's not what we think. We're living. We think about life. That's Torah. But you entered the idea that we must worry about his death. He brought it in. Now it has to happen. And it could be that's what he learned Shat Yerushalmi. Tamon misha'a rishoyna niskalkalo. B'ram hochel l'kishayomasi niskalkalo. No, it's right. He made it. He created the Shema Yamus. Because he said, he brought in that he right away messed her up. But in normal places, when it happens, we'll worry about it. We don't worry about it before. And that's the Pshat Naglisis. Again, I don't want to go through all the details. Goisis is a person who is in the throes of death, and you need to think about it. Doesn't mean that we know he's going to die. It's not the regular way. But usually the Cheskes Chaim would remove it, and we don't have to think about that altogether. But by a Goisis, we need to think. Once you need to think about it, it's over with. And that's why by the Rambam, this whole thing of 80, 90, it's not a Geisis, there's nothing to talk about. Geisis is a Metzias. Now, there's a lot of interesting things about a Geisis halachically. But I don't want to get into it because it's going to take us onto a much longer discussion. That Nazir considered lehechaloi already that once he's a Geisis, he's like as if he's dead. He's in the process of that, so to speak. So then we have to think about it. But generally, we don't think about it. We think about life. Life is that's it. Everybody have a great day, safe day. Hatzlocha Rabbah, and be well.